So as a way to arrive in the room and in our body, we can begin to include things that are noticed, like the sounds are a good start. Or the many small sounds with the sound of my voice, and the cracking of the wood, the moving of the leg of the person next to us, and maybe the sound of her breath too. The boiler outside, heating up water for our tea. Maybe a humming. The steps, the cough, so we don't judge. Again, we're just dedicating to listening. And perhaps till now we've noticed one sound at a time or a couple at a time. And then we can start to notice them more together. And whenever we notice a new one, they become part of the whole. And as the sounds get quieter and a bit subtler as we settle, maybe our mind can get a bit subtler too, a bit quieter too. You allow it to slow down. We don't rush the slowing down. That's just rushing. It's like you take a step back from interfering. And when we take a step back from interfering, it's not that we enter this lazy, passive, kind of dispersed state. In fact, we enter a deeper state of presence because there's more space there to be present when we're not caught up in reaction and believing every thought that pops up and getting completely occupied with the content of experience, let's say. So first we notice one sound at a time, and you can include in that also the sounds of the thoughts in our head. And then we can notice that they're all actually happening together in the same space, as the same whole. So then when noticing new ones, they just get naturally, spontaneously included in that whole. And as part of that whole that is noticed, there's also the body sensations. There's the ground underneath us and the feeling of the weight. There are different temperatures in the leg. Our hands resting on them, perhaps. And let your hands rest. There's a heart beating. There's the breath coming through and filling the torso, emptying the torso, sometimes a bit shorter, sometimes a bit longer. And we can notice that the breath has two aspects. The in-breath coming in and the out-breath going out. we want to learn how to keep a sense of that wider whole, while also localizing to one point, both. In this case now, we choose the breath. There's in-breath and out-breath. They're of each other but different. And we rest in that. And in the simplicity of that. While as you can, keeping an awareness of the whole, of all those sounds happening together, a general sense of the sensations in the body. Of the atmosphere that surrounds us, of the field that we built together. Of the room, of the rain. Centered in the breath. We want to become very intimate with the breath. So there is a softness there to the quality of our attention. Make sure we're not judging the breath for being tight or short. That just creates more tightness. So we will get lost in thought from time to time, or maybe very often. And then we just simply come back. That's the practice. Nothing wrong was done. When you come back, what is very important is what quality you come back with. Make sure you're not forcing the mind back. Just keep a light touch. Maybe the hint of a smile. And all is well, we just come back to the breath. For now, wherever is most comfortable to come back to in the breath. So we're not coming back to the concept of the breath, but to the experience of it in the body. So we'll soon come down to the breath in the lower belly, but let's start with the nostrils. And as we listen to the breath in the nostrils, can you keep a wider sense of that body sitting there, from feet to knees to hands to head? And perhaps that body sitting in a room on a floor, surrounded by forest. So the nostrils area is from the entrance of the nose, down the curve behind the mouth. And we can include the throat too. If you can include also a general sense of the head now. So there's the breath passing through, and a general sense of the head, the upper dantian. And then we let it flood through the chest, so it just kind of naturally sinks down, spreading through the chest, the middle dantian area, upper back. We let it go to the left and around, center, to the right and around. The mind is resting there. We're not on a mission. Notice there's in-breath and out-breath affecting the middle dantian area, the chest, upper back, including from the base of the neck to about the diaphragm area. And again, like our priority is the quality with which we listen and the quality with which we come back to listening. It's not so much about becoming perfect at it. We're cultivating a more compassionate being. So anytime we get lost in thought, it's actually a great opportunity to cultivate that, to grow in kindness and patience and in all these qualities we respect and admire. Maybe you notice that when attention is there, absorbed and listening in an allowing and curious way, that things start to release a bit. We can connect a moment to the crown, the top of the head. And there's a suspension, like an upward force from there. And from that point, we find the upper dantian, the head, the breath passing through there, the neck, and the chest and upper back area. So we find their differences and their union and their relationship there. And perhaps if connecting to the crown, there can be, again, very naturally and so spontaneously, a further release from the chest. It can just sink, trusting that upward force. A bit like you're hanging like a marionette Just make sure that we're not collapsing. It's not dead weight. Then maybe that spreads a bit to the shoulders, to the arms and hands. Can always allow for movement, for a bit of a left and a right, a front and a back, a turning. This kind of invisible movement, making sure we didn't get frozen or stuck, as it is a tendency of the mind to do so, and the body with it. So we're listening to all of this change that is happening at the head and chest, allowing for it to change. In its own time, with its own speed. And then that listening continues to spread down through the torso, to the bottom of the torso, where we find the belly, the lower back, the ribs as they split and come down to the sides, the spine. Including also the hips, lower back, pelvic bones. Again, we allow for a subtle movement, making sure nothing's frozen or stuck. And if it is, then we rest with it. If we find like an ice cube, remember it's made of water. It just needs some warmth, so we don't throw away the ice cube. So we listen there. Letting it spread to the front, coming to the quad, the groin area. On the meeting point of the legs, front to the bottom. Perineum, tailbone area. And in our pelvic bones, and all the pelvis area. And including all of that, noticing the breath, how it affects that whole system. listening with dedication and with lightness and warmth. So we're not thinking about the lower belly area. No, that's our feeling capacity is absorbing there. It's like becoming it. And again we connect to the crown, top of the head. Maybe the chin can come back slightly, but don't force it. Maybe it comes naturally as you connect to the crown and things start to realign a bit. Tailbone sunk, release to the ground. So we have that lower part of the torso, we have the middle part of the torso, upper part of the torso, head. And we let our feeling capacity spread also through the legs and feet till the bottom of the feet, arms and hands. So we can be for a while with the whole, from head to hands to feet. And there's the breath coming through. And you can allow the hands to float up from the leg and coming around to point to the lower dantian as we do in the standing form. So the palm centers come to align to a point below the belly button and inside. Hands don't touch. So we have that triangle from the palm centers to that point below the belly button. So we have our base there. Remember our base and start with finding ground. Connecting to whatever that means to us now. Maybe it means noticing where we're holding back from the ground and just releasing and trusting a bit more the earth. Maybe it means just letting things settle, like when you stir mud in a glass of water and then you take out the spoon and it just settles naturally. Or maybe it means connecting deep into the earth, like finding our roots there. And then we let our elbows come a bit left and right, and the palms turn towards the leg as we open the hands left and right. And we start to come down towards the knees with the palm over the knees, and follow the shape of the leg, and we listen through the leg where the palm is going, down through the feet. And so we're listening through the front of the body as we go down, and then as we come back up, through the back of the leg. So there, a listening of sensation there, of more subtle feeling, coming up. So we follow through the spine or the back, listening through as the hands come up and help us. Comes up a bit behind the ear, the head. So it comes over the head, listening to the crown, the head. And then down to the forehead. Make sure the tip of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth gently as we come down. You let it sink down from the head, heart, to the lower dantian, and repeat. So you can follow your own speed. Coming through, we don't get stuck in any part. Some parts will feel a bit more, some parts less. You just continue flowing through. So we let things flow, and gradually things will start to open more. Again, there's this listening that is not forceful, not imposing, but yet it's absorbed and present. So we let it flow like water through the different areas. Just another couple times. To make sure when the hands come downward, you really feel the bottom of the foot. And one last round. So whenever you come back to the lower dantian area, we'll meet there again. And we feel again, all at once, this whole system, from the head to the feet, centered in the lower dantian, like our center of gravity there. And with it, maybe we could include also the feel around us. But don't lose the body, don't lose the lower dantian. again, it's not a job for the mind, for the thinking mind. You just kind of release into focus. And we come into closing form. So with the next expansion in breath, the hands come out. And they come out to the side, open to the sky as it comes over the knees if you're cross-legged. And then wraps around as it floats up. Shoulders stay sunk, connecting to up, following that feeling up, crown suspended. Feeling that connection, tailbone to crown. And then it comes down again. From big it gets smaller. We follow smaller. As it sinks, one hand is wrapping around the other hand, and the other hand comes into a pinch. Middle finger and thumb, or index and thumb, touching very lightly. And it comes down to the level of the heart, of the chest. And then the chest is pulled to it, it pulls it. And we let the chest guide us down. So heart leads down. As much as you're comfortable, you can come down. Just keep the flow as best as you can. And then we come up. Releasing from the tailbone, up through the spine. Head and hands then follow. And we find upward again. And then the pinch turns. That yin and yang system turns towards the heart, small. And then from small it expands bigger. And you follow expansion, connecting out. And then from big out it comes back. You just receive, yield back from the heart and let it settle down to the lower dantian. You just follow its speed down to the center. So let's repeat that once more. Expanding, coming around. So from the dantian it opens. And we sink a moment, and when we have the ground we can rise, floating up. Floating, not lifting. And then it comes down again. And then one hand wraps around the other, hands don't touch, one comes into a pinch. Coming down to the level of the heart, and then heart follows, we follow. And again, coming down as much as you're comfortable. Coming into a little bow. And it comes up and down towards the heart. And then that small point, yin embraces yang, and that small point expands and opens. And it all expands, and you feel it from the chest out, elbow points expanding also. And then it comes back, you follow back. Yielding back. Give it a few moments. Nothing else to do than just being there. Nothing to add, nothing to take away. And elbows come to the side, hands can come to the side. We can come back to the knee if you're cross-legged, or to the leg. Breakfast is at Dan's today. Yeah. So breakfast is at Dan's, which is the house down the road. Follow the group. We'll be in silence for breakfast. If you can carry an awareness, we can all try to carry this awareness from crown to down of the three dantians and their relation. Staying with what's there. So we have the blessing of the silence that can help us learn how to bring more this mindful approach into daily life.